Like Meg said, my name's Angel, and I have the best neighbors. Yes, yay neighbors! I've never been able to say that before. I've never really been a good neighbor, so I'm excited to share about my first good neighbors. Last January, my husband and I moved into a rental home in East Austin, probably like many of you. And we got to meet Will and Joyce, our next door neighbors. They're a little different from us. They've been on that street for 50 years, close to 60 years actually. Right as soon as after they were married, they moved into the house next door. Now, Joyce is loud but kind. She's the kind of person that will chase you down the street to ask you how you're doing. She's the kind of person that will remember what your brother does for a living and ask you every time she sees you, how's he doing with his work? Will is quiet. He's been sick for a while, but I also get the sense that he's quiet because he wants to give Joyce some room. I've never seen him healthy, but every once in a while he'll say a little joke under his breath, and you get a glimpse of what it might have been like to be with him when he was well. Actually, last year on February 7th, my husband was out in the backyard, and Joyce calls over to him and says, "Tomorrow is my 57th wedding anniversary." And James replies, "Tomorrow's my wedding day." It's a match made in heaven. James and I and the neighbor situation. We just knew it was going to be special from the start. My sister moved in for a couple months in a trailer in my backyard with her husband and son. I was a little nervous about what that would do to the neighborhood situation. Like, were we going to be judged? Were we going to be those neighbors? And I was actually worried what Joyce would think. She didn't mind, and I actually started to realize that having a trailer in your backyard on the east side is just a rite of passage. Come summertime last year, I was trying my hand at being a good neighbor, and for some reason a pie came to mind. I didn't bake the pie. I went to Whole Foods. They have good peach pie during the summer. So if you're trying to get in good with somebody, bring them peach pie. That's what I did. And Joyce seemed to like the pie, but her son Dusty that was visiting liked it even more. He saw me and said, "Where can I get some of that pie?" And I thought, "I'll get you that pie next time. I'll come bring you some." And he wanted to pay me for it. And I was like, "That's not what good neighbors do." So I thought, no, I'll get you the pie again. And Joyce did not like that. She didn't want a handout. So Dusty and I bartered. Dusty has a horse farm, and he's got a horse named Pockets. Dusty named Pockets because he said that horse has eaten through his pockets and 2 wives. So I've never ridden a horse. I'm from Kentucky, and I've never ridden a horse. And I thought, "I'll bring you a pie if you let me ride Pockets." And he did. I rode Pockets on an empty lot across the street from us. And I thought, this is the east side. This is great. Just a couple months ago, James and I celebrated our first year anniversary. And Joyce actually came out and, of course, wished us the first happy anniversary, to which I said, "Happy 58th anniversary." I asked her how her and Will are going to celebrate. And she said she's actually on her way to the hospital to go to be with him. Not long after, I walked out of our house, and there were several people in the front yard. And I looked at Joyce and said, "What's going on?" And she said, "Will passed away this morning." I was struck by how sad I was. For the days that followed Will's death, cars lined the streets. Sisters, brothers, great-grandchildren, grandchildren, nieces, nephews, co-workers, old neighbors came and filled Joyce's home. I got to sit with her one night in the midst of her small and crowded home, and she looked at me and said, "I never knew that we were so loved. I haven't been alone since Will died. I knew I loved people, but I didn't know that so many people loved us." James and I got the chance to go to Will's funeral, or to his wake. It was held at St. Annie's African Methodist Episcopal Church down in South Austin. It was the church he went to growing up. He was in his 80s. It's the church he went to when he was a kid. It's the same church that him and Joyce met at, and it's where they were married. I walked up the steps to go into the church, and I met their niece. She told me that Will's death was an especially sad death. She told me a little bit about a Will I never got to know. She said he was the barbecue king. She said that Joyce was always welcoming, which was no surprise to me, but that Will was a jokester. That he was the one that all the kids wanted to go to because he would never discipline them. I also found out he was a big WWF fan, so I learned a lot about Will. But she said, you know, their whole family's special, and they've lost loved ones over the past few years, but this was an especially tough loss. In that moment, I remembered a conversation I had with Joyce just a couple weeks prior to that. We were sitting outside her house, and she was looking over at my house, and she pointed to it and said, I've never had a bad neighbor there. I've always had good neighbors. She's thought about it a little bit more and was just marveled at it, that I've never had a bad neighbor. And in that moment, standing outside that church, about to walk in for Will's wake, I thought, maybe Joyce has never had a bad neighbor because she is such a good one. Thank you.